Colleague, how in the world are you doing? Hope that this video finds you well. I'm coming to you on October 13th, Friday. So we're about in the middle of the first quarter of the school year, if I'm not mistaken. And today we did pop-up debate number 5. At this point, we're really just reinforcing previously covered skills. So the way that the lesson went today is that my students had a warm-up, which was meant to review some information that we've learned for the first time in the past couple of days. So that's short answer question A and B here. And then to synthesize information that we learned in our last unit, Unit 3, and this new information that we're encountering in Unit 4. And I gave sort of an abstract prompt for synthesizing that information and a more concrete prompt. And once my students had completed these warm-ups for about 10 minutes, and then we discussed answers to A and B, I said, okay, for today's pop-up debate, we're going to be discussing those 2 questions that were on our warm-up, questions C and D. And you can select either one, whichever you're more comfortable with. So if you want to go with something more concrete, like technology, that's great. There's a lot of great options from these 2 units that you could argue for. If you want to go with a concept like legitimization, exploration, expansion, consolidation, that's great too. The more important thing than the content in this pop-up debate that I wanted my kids to focus on were these 2 skills that I've introduced in previous debates. If you haven't seen those videos, just look at this playlist and see pop-up debates 3 and 4. So eye contact and poise. And what I said is pick one of these to focus on and write it in your spiral notebook, right underneath your bullet points that you're going to use to help you answer these prompts, whichever of these prompts you want. I want you to write eye contact or poise and just why. Why did you pick that? So I'm going to actually play me having the students do this so you can see firsthand. And I'll also show you how I introduced the debate today. So I won't say much more about that. You'll just be able to watch that in a second. A couple more notes before I show the video. During the debate in both classes that I'm doing this series on, I was focused on reinforcing eye contact. I really emphasized, I probably said 10 or 15 different times during both debates. That was great eye contact. Really good example of eye contact there. I didn't do it in every case where I saw good examples because I wanted the praise to feel more random, but I also definitely did not do it when I saw bad examples. Sometimes I made comments like, oh, don't look at me, just to try to encourage them to use eye contact. There was another moment where I called out a student who carried his notes on his laptop. He picked it up with him and then was able to look down and at the rest of the class. And then I just pointed out how different that was from some of the students who were keeping their notes on their desk. And so they're kind of like awkwardly leaning over, looking at their desk, spending a lot of time looking down versus just a quick glance down. So I just pointed out stuff like that, small little things. A couple of students moved a few steps to get to the edge of the class. I pointed those things out. I'm just trying to reinforce eye contact. All right, so let's go ahead and spend the rest of our time actually watching me introducing this pop-up debate, explaining to them why we do this. You'll notice me making the case, the apologetics for pop-up debate, getting them ready to do it as productively as possible. And then I'll show you my example speech. I did pop up one time and just kind of said something that was more silly, just to, again, create greater comfort and safety, knowing that we can stand up and we don't always have to be right in order to do a good job in pop-up debate. All right, enjoy the classroom video clips. So as we shift in this pop-up debate, a couple things. First, you can choose either prompt. I don't care which one. Whichever you're the most comfortable with. As you stand up, do your best to just explain what your rationale is. So if you're going to stand up and say, what's a dumb technology that would never be said in this debate? The saddle. If you're going to stand up and say the saddle, then you just need to explain why that's more significant than anything else. So explain yourself, but here's what I really want you to think. I've introduced both of these things to you. Eye contact, attempting to see everyone in the room when you speak, and poise, just getting rid of your distracting tics, especially like, you know. So I want you to pick one of these that you're going to try to be mindful of when you stand up and speak. And then afterwards, I'm going to have you reflect on how that went. Write that down for yourself. And guys, if you want, jot down some bullet points for yourself on what you want to say too, because that's a good way to make sure, if you stand up and you blank out, at least you got something written down. So jot down whatever bullet points you want to discuss in today's debate, and jot down eye contact or poise. And why do you want to focus on that? The person in your life who's going to be most impacted by your ability to public speak is who? You. And I'm classifying public speaking, it includes like job interviews. You're all going to have them. In the job interview, you are being judged on how you talk, right? So which of these do you want to try to do? If you pick eye contact, I want to encourage you, take a few steps when you stand up so that it's easier to try to scan the room. I want you to practice that. Push yourself to do that. If you can get to the edge of the class, it'll be much easier. Also, if you pick eye contact, I want you to really think about not looking at who? Me. The one person you don't need to look at is me. I'm the easiest one for you to look at. So I want to take away that little piece of comfort. It's going to make you think more about how you're speaking. And then the last thing that I'll say before I start us is, as soon as you sit down from speaking, try to make a note of how you think you did. That's all you're going to have for feedback. I'm not going to tell you how you did in front of everyone. That doesn't seem super cool. But I'm going to ask you, oh, I forgot to look. Or, oh, I totally forgot to think about how much I say like in my speech. All right. Without further ado, I am going to let it rip. Go ahead, pop-up debaters. Good work. Remind yourself before you stand up what you're trying to get better at. As soon as you sit down, take a note on how you think you did. Don't you guys look at me. Don't look at I'm not here. Okay, Jocelyn, I see that eye contact. I agree with Jocelyn. I'm going to go ahead and stand up, and I'm going to pile on to Jimmy T's ideas as well, okay? I'm just going to gang up on the kid, all right? I think he can take it. He's a great guy, Jimmy. All love and respect. But I'm going to just say the most important technology is the junk. Because, guys, the junk doesn't get enough love for how inspirational it was. Just in the name alone, the junk was magnificent, all right? You just got to imagine who named that the first time, looking at that huge ship. And I'm just going to say, if it weren't for the junk, like, there wouldn't have been zebras in China or giraffes, which you might think, where's the influence on world history, Mr. Stewart? And honestly, as I say this, I'm thinking the same thing. Wow, the specificity of your guys' answers has really next leveled in the last couple of weeks, and I'm proud of that. Nice eye contact. Lauren, go ahead, sis. Okay, I saw those eyes scanning around. You do it. You do it. Good scan. Good scan. TH. Think about that eye contact, y'all. Good. Seeing a lot of scanning the room. That's good. Keep working on that. Johnny F. All right, y'all. Simple move that I saw my dude just do. If you want to use your notes, all good, but pick it up with you. That way you have an easier time making more attempts at eye contact. That's a good move. Okay, that was like a master class in that eye contact scanning. Excellent. I want to point something out with that, HV. What you just showed was a great example of poise, because you started to stumble, but you just keep driving the train, and no one even cares. Sometimes people, when they do that, they'll get all be like, oh. But no, she just stayed calm, collected, kept driving that train. That's what you guys do. No listener in your life who's not a jerk is going to expect you to be perfect, okay? Even in a job interview. I'm kind of a little sketched out if someone appears totally perfect. But what I do want to see is someone who knows how to just keep the conversation going, keep moving. That was well done. Okay, so notice how I reinforced like multiple times eye contact. I'm attempting to give them feedback, positive feedback every single time that I see it, or just about every single time, so that it's just burning into our heads that this is now a normal expectation of the classroom. Once in a while, I think one time in this clip, I did say, all right, everybody remember eye contact, which is more of a critical piece of feedback, but mostly it was just, wow, that was great. I saw you scanning. I saw Aiden stand up with his computer. So I'm trying to be very specific as I praise things that are working and things that are not working with eye contact. Now we're going to get into the closing reflections. So I'm just going to let you see the whole sequence that I used during about our last 5 minutes of class to help the students to think about their power debate performance and where they want to go from here. Please take a note for yourself right under where you wrote what you wanted to focus on, and give yourself a score 0 through 10. 10, you crushed it. You know that you were the definition of poise, and you only wish I would have filmed it so that you could have just put it around the universe because people would have loved you. Everyone would have fallen in love with how perfectly you spoke. That's a 10. All right. A 0 would be you did not speak. So I don't want to see any zeros. Did you give yourself a grade? I did. Okay. All right. So now I just want to see by show of hands, just fingers, what grade did you give yourself? And I'm just going to scan the room. And it's your grade. They don't even know what you were working with. Yeah, out of 10. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. Allison. Yeah, way to go. Way to be confident. Yes, true. The main thing with poise is those distracting behaviors. Okay, now just let me actually see hands. Who picked eye contact? I'm curious what's important to you guys right now. Raise them nice and tall. Picked eye contact. All right, who picked poise? All right, cool. Cool. So probably Papa Debate 6, no video, but Papa Debate 7, it's going to be in about November time. That's when we'll introduce a video. Whole purpose of that is going to be for you to be able to watch yourself during the next day's warm-up. I'll have you, during the debate, kind of make note of when you speak. So is it like minute 5 or minute 10? I'll put a stopwatch on the screen so that you can quickly find yourself. And you'll be able to see, oh, wow, my eye contact is actually worse than I thought, or better than I thought. My poise is worse than I thought, or better than I thought. And in Papa Debate 6, I'm going to teach you guys the rest of PV legs, because we have not talked yet about life, have we? Or gestures, or speed. And those are 3 things that I think you guys are ready to start working on. All right, this is kind of interesting too. Papa debates are tough to plan for because I don't totally know how long they're going to take. So in this case, I was nervous at one point during the debate, like, oh, we're going to run out of time, which I never love because then you have to get the remaining kids the following day. But I ended up kind of rushing the debate a little bit, and so now I ended up with too much extra time. And what I was going to do with our last chunk of class is give them a little retrieval practice quiz. And so they started to pack up. There's only 2 minutes left, so I said, wait, hold on a sec. We're gonna now I'm gonna give you some of those questions I would have asked, and you're just gonna hold the answer in your head, and then we're gonna discuss material. So it's just a really easy thing to do to fill the last couple of minutes of class with productivity and in this case knowledge building, and that just helps with your credibility because it demonstrates that you don't want there to be dead time. The time in class is too important for that. So you're not going to be like this draconian guy who says, no, stay at your seats. You have to stay at your seats just because I say so. No, I want you to stay at your seats so that we can squeeze some productivity and some knowledge strengthening out of our last few minutes of class. That's what I call in my book gentle urgency. Gentle urgency. Not trying to be a jerk with using every minute of time. Bell to bell is not like a control thing. It's not a desperation thing. It's a get to thing. It's a, well, why wouldn't we use these last couple minutes to become a bit stronger? So even though it's not Papa Debate, I'm going to let those last few minutes play so you can see how I facilitated that. All right, have a seat because I'm going to ask you some of the questions I would have asked you during the quiz, just so you can be aware of, what might have been coming at you. So let's see if you can hold in your head an answer to these questions. Number 1, name an important mariner from 4.1 who's not Columbus. Yeah. Yeah, sorry, but I'm going to not let Columbus be the correct answer too often. Try holding your head first. Vinny, give me some. Bartholomew Diaz, Vasco da Gama, Magellan, Champlain, apparently, gets an honorable mention. Hudson gets an honorable mention. Now, what if I said, bonus question, identify one from Portugal? Only 2 choices. Da Gama or Diaz. And I want you to know where they're from because this unit is the only unit where like Portugal and Spain are going to be a huge deal. We will see in Unit 5, everything falls apart for them. They rapidly lose their influence. And by the time you get to World War I don't even know what side they were on because it really didn't matter. They're not a big player. Okay, another question that I would ask is the predominant economic philosophy in Europe at this time. Can you hold it in your head first? Does the thing you're holding in your head start with an M? Is it mercantilism? Yeah. Sweet. If you thought capitalism, I just said that to like preview for you. Don't let me misteach you. That does not matter in Unit 4. All right, another one that I would have said is name a state that invested in voyages of discovery in the 1400s. Spain and Portugal. Bonus question, which was first? Portugal, because of Prince Henry the Navigator.
bunch of losers.
Yeah, they kind of are.
And there you have it. Pop-up debate number 5 in the books. Tune in next time for pop-up debate number 6. Probably sometime next week is when we'll do that. Take care.